Welcome to Hey, it's Kylie Book Club. This is Book Hour where authors will talk their latest novels, reveal their writing process, and walk us through a day in their life when writing. I'm your host, Carly Rae. Today, author Emma Noyes joins us to chat about her new book, The Sunken City. We'll find out if she always wanted to write a fantasy novel filled with pirates and magic, when we can expect book 2 in the trilogy, and whether it will be from a new character's point of view. We'll find out more right after this. Welcome, Emma. I'm so excited to have you on Book Hour.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, now tell us where you're joining us from.
I'm in Cleveland, Ohio right now. I do not live here, but my best friend is finishing up med school and is about to find out where she's going to place for residency. So I'm here to see her on her match day.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Now, The Sunken City is out now. Tell viewers more about it without giving away too many spoilers.
Okay. So the main character, Amare, she's raised by pirates. She grows up under the helm of like the most feared pirate in the Caribbean, and all these sort of strange things start happening to her. And eventually, this isn't giving too much away because this is part of the plot, part of the sort of pitch. She awakes in an underwater kingdom, and she discovers that her father is the king of this kingdom. So she's like the lost princess who's been foretold. And she ends up in this sort of love triangle with two brothers. One's good, one's bad. It's very Vampire Diaries like. It's fun.
Oh, yeah. Now, this YA fantasy book is filled with magic and pirates. What was your favorite part of crafting the world of the Sunken City?
Well, so there were two sort of different worlds that I had. Actually, there were three different worlds I had to craft. I can't talk about all of them, but the first one is aboard the pirate ship in the Caribbean. And that took a lot of research because I wanted it to be as historically accurate as possible. So I had to research a lot about pirates who actually lived in the Caribbean in the 1700s, what life was like for them, and keep that sort of real to what it was like. And then when it came to creating the underwater city, that was something that I got to do all on my own. I got to imagine, visualize, pick apart what like architectural elements I wanted to include, the magic that I wanted to include, what the magic system was like. That was really fun.
Now, did you research like Atlantis or anything like that?
No, I didn't. I did look up like for different things I wanted to describe. I would Google like underwater city or like what things would look like when they're underwater so that I could describe them accurately. Because I had to think about like lighting, and there's no sunlight underwater. So what would that look like and how all of that would work?
Yeah. Now, what inspired you to create such a unique storyline for the Sunken City?
I actually, so when I was 6, I released my first book. It was like lined paper that I drew a stick figure girl and wrote a story about a girl who lives underwater and her best friend is an octopus and she has to go rescue her best friend. And it's completely ridiculous, but my mom, she had a friend who had a publishing machine in her basement. So they published like soft copies of the book, and then we sold it at our local bookstore. And that book was called The Sea Girl. And about a year and a half ago, I had just finished my first novel. I'm starting to work on my second, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to work on. And I was swimming in the pool, and I started thinking about like what it would be like to live underwater. Because I love the water. I grew up as a diver doing platform diving, and I grew up in Chicago next to Lake Michigan. So I was in the water all the time. And so I started thinking about like, okay, if I were to write a story underwater, what would that be like? And then I was thinking about The Sea Girl that I wrote when I was 6. And I was like, it would be so fun to like come back to that 20 years later and write a real story with that same sort of idea to it.
Now, did you go back and read the first book you published?
Oh my gosh, yes. I took pictures of all the pages. They're completely, it's like there's no even like spelling or grammar checks that were done on my writing. It's so bad, but it's really cute.
Well, you can frame that and tell everybody this is what inspired it.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, did you change like the characters' names or anything? Or yes, no?
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, it wasn't because the only two characters that were in this story was a girl named the Sea Girl. She doesn't even have a name. She's called the Sea Girl. And then an octopus named Octopus.
Okay. There you go. Well, I'm curious in the new draft that's out
Mhm,
now, do you have a
mhm.
favorite character or find yourself rooting for like the good or bad brother?
Oh my gosh. Well, okay, without revealing too much, if you've seen the Vampire Diaries, have you seen the Vampire Diaries
Yeah.
before? Are
Yes.
you team Stefan or Damon?
I mean, at the beginning, I was team Stefan. Like, I always liked him. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but like towards the
So
end, yeah.
I'm very much team Damon. I love a bad boy who then kind of goes through something that makes him be on the good side a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't want to give too much away. I do quite love the bad boy brother.
Yeah.
There's also so in the book there are pirates above water and there are pirates below water,
Okay.
and you meet a below water pirate who is really amazing. And I can't say too much without giving too much away, but I think she might be one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Well, I will say it's probably fun to craft a like bad boy going, maybe turning to good or something. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Now, The Sunken City is book one in the trilogy. Without giving away spoilers again, what can we expect from the next two books? Are they from like new characters' point of views or?
No, they're all going to be told from Amari's point of view, who is the main character. I just finished the sequel like 2 days ago. You can expect lots of fun, lots of adventure, lots of drama. You can expect more of the triangle with the two brothers, very juicy stuff. The, the second book is coming out May 24th of this year, and the third is coming out December 6th of this year. So I am releasing 3 books in 1 year.
Now, we'll get into your writing process later, but I'm curious to see like how that all works.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Now, how did you decide on the title?
The city that she ends up in, it's like sort of like an underwater castle, is called the Sunken City. And it was just something that is in the book a lot. The title's in the book a lot. And when I was thinking about what I wanted to call it, this just always came top of mind. And I was like, it's very telling of what is inside the story. And it made for a really beautiful cover that has the Sunken City on it. And it all just kind of tied together really well.
Yeah. Now, anything else you want to share about the Sunken City with viewers?
Hmm. If you like, if you're a reader of Holly Black or Sarah J. Maas or what else? Anything that's like juicy enemies to lovers, I think you'll like this book.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of fans of that, so that's
Yeah.
good. Well, there you have it. You heard Emma talk all things the Sunken City. Stay tuned because when we come back, we'll find out more about Emma's writing process. Welcome back to Book Hour. I'm your host, CarlyRae, here with Emma Noyes. Now, Emma, walk us through your writing process for The Sunken City. Did you write in the mornings or at night? And then you just said you finished the other two books this year. So walk us through all that.
So I have, I would say there's 2 parts to my writing process. One is just every morning I get up, I make breakfast, I make a pot of coffee, and then I sit down and I write. And that is every morning, pretty much regardless of where I am. And I'll do that throughout the day, like usually for at least several hours a day. But the second part of my writing process, and this actually sometimes is where my best material comes from, is I leave the house almost every day to go for walks or to take a shower or just to cook in the kitchen or whatever. And when I'm doing that, I'm almost always like going over character details, plot details, thinking about dialogue. And some of the favorite scenes that I've written, I have quite literally written while I'm out walking on my phone in like the notes part of my phone. And then I come home and I just copy that into the Word document.
Yeah, we have to do it when like inspiration strikes you. And like I know
Mm-hmm.
people have like the writing journals, but the notes works too. I use that.
It
So
does.
yeah.
Sometimes I even just dictate, like I'll put on like talk to text and I'll just dictate into my phone.
Now, how long did it take you to write The Sunken City?
This book was the second novel that I'd ever written. The first one I didn't publish. First one took me 2.5 years to write because I was in a full-time job. And then I started writing full-time and wrote the Sunken City, and it took me, I think, 6 months to write.
Mhm.
So about half a year. Yeah.
Now, the cover is great. It really gives readers a glimpse into the world you created, as you mentioned. Did you always want the cover to look like that?
No, I actually, when I this book is self-published, which means that I hired the cover artist, I hired the interior, the person who designed the interior of the book, all of that. So when I started thinking about the cover, I started looking through the work of different cover artists, and I found this guy, and he had done this really amazing cover that had the same, it wasn't an underwater book, but it had like a tree, and the tree was surrounded by this like brilliant, beautiful light, and there were all these amazing colors. And I was like, this is who I want to do my cover. He's going to do an amazing cover. And
Yeah.
I basically gave him the direction of, okay, I want the similar vibe to what you did for this book, but I want it to be a palace with a floating pirate ship in the background. And I want there to be waterfalls and arches and bridges and stuff like that. And he just took the direction and ran with it. And he did an amazing job.
Now, did you have to do a lot of revisions, or he kind of did it the first round for you?
I think the only note that I gave him from the first draft was that the title needed to be bigger. That was it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
Now, share with us your publishing process. Did you have an editor? Like, do you use critique partners? What process do you go through?
I used 3 different services. I used one to find the cover artist. I sent the manuscript to like 5 or 6 editing partners to look through. And I actually, before reaching like the final editing stage, I had hired an editor who came like highly recommended, and she did a what's the word, developmental edit, which is where instead of copy editing, it's like they give you big picture, this, flesh out this part of the plot, include these this is what's working, this is what's not working. And she did a fantastic job. And then for the interior, I had originally thought, I would just use like some standard service online to format the inside of my book. And then I started looking through books that I admired, that I had enjoyed reading, and they all had these really beautifully designed interiors. And I was like, you know what? I want that. I want to give my book that like extra. And I'm so glad that I did, because the inside that his name is Steve Kuhn, and he designed just a gorgeous interior with these with different chapter headings for each chapter, with there's 5 parts to the book, and each part has its own page, and it's this sort of black background with the sunken city in the background with the pirate ship, and it's all really beautiful. I mean, he did a stunning job. And to find him, I used a service called Readsy, which I think a lot of authors use.
Yeah. Now, for your other books, is it going to take you a while for the editing process, or do you give it like a month's time and then you go back through? Is that how you do it?
It depends. So for the sequel, I think what I have done is I have, again, like 5 or 6 editing partners that I'm going to send it to, and they'll give me feedback. And then I might hire a copy editor to go through and do like really detailed, make sure no words are missing, make sure there's no periods out of place, nothing like that, because that's something that if you're self-published, you don't have, that comes built in from a publishing house normally.
Yeah. Now, did you enjoy the crafting the story or editing the story?
Oh, they're such different processes. Like, you'd think before before I ever tried to write a book, I genuinely thought that the book that you read is the book that the author writes the first time around, which is so not the case. Like, even as I'm just going through and doing my initial edits to the draft of the sequel, there's already huge plot points that I'm changing where I'm like, that just doesn't work. And it's going to change the whole course of the story. Like, and it depends. I think I enjoy the stage that I'm in right now, where I'm going through and writing entirely different scenes and making everything feel like it fits better, like everything's falling into place better. I don't love the copy editing stage where I'm just going through and rereading everything that I've written, because I've read it so many times that I'm like blind to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, why did you decide to self-publish over like traditional publishing? Did you want to have like more, I guess, control over certain things?
Yeah. So signed with an agent for my first book, and we were in the process of submitting it around, and it was such a long, just sort of grueling process. Like, it takes forever to reach out to editors, it takes forever to hear back. And I sent her the manuscript for the Sunken City, and she basically said, yeah, I don't really believe in this story. I don't think I want to represent it. And I was like, well, I do believe in this story, and I think that people will love it, and I think it needs to be out there. And so I was like, you know what? I'm not going to wait and find a different agent. I'm going to do this myself, because I think I can. I think people will love it. And so far they have. It's been good. It's been
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. I've seen really great reviews like on Goodreads and Amazon. So
Thanks. Yeah.
now, when can viewers expect? You said more books from you. So you said next this summer.
So beginning of the summer, May 24th, the sequel will be coming out. It'll be a great beach read if you're taking any summer trips. And then the third comes out just before the holiday season on December 6th.
Okay. Well, Emma, thank you so much for joining Book Hour. Before I let you go, tell viewers where they
Absolutely.
can find you on social media.
You can find me at Emma Noyes Maybe. That is my handle on both Instagram and TikTok. I'm actually very active on TikTok. I love it. And there's a really fun book community on there. So if you're not on there, I definitely recommend.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. Emma's handles are in the description below. Emma, thank you so much for joining Book Hour. And for those watching, I hope you have a great day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Carly Rae.